It's DVD and Blu Ray update time again, and there's quite a lot that I've bought in the last 6 months since I've not been uploading videos. Now, I can't show you absolutely everything that I've bought, so what I've done is picked out a substantial amount of stuff to show you. I've just left out some of the stuff that I didn't think you'd find very interesting. So, starting with the DVDs, we've got a little stack here. Now, we picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2, as you can see this is still in its wrapper, because we both love the Ninja Turtles. I do still want to get the first one, but apparently that's become quite rare, and I think it's really strange how certain films become rare on DVD and Blu-ray, but that's really weird. We also picked up, now I think all of these DVDs that I'm about to show you are from a shop called That's Entertainment, who do films at like 99p or 1.99 or whatever. They do multi-buy deals. You can go in to That's Entertainment, probably spend £10 and leave with a stack of DVDs. So to begin with, I picked up Kiss the Girls and Along Came a Spider, Morgan Freeman's two Alex Cross movies, because just recently I've been on a bit of a 90s thriller kick, so to speak. So I picked those up. I watched Kiss the Girls last night, and I do enjoy it. You know, these are sort of bog standard average serial killer thrillers, crime thrillers, but I did enjoy Kiss the Girls. I'm going to watch Along Came a Spider again. I have seen both of these before, but not in a lot of years. Laura picked up a film, documentary actually, that we're both quite interested in seeing, and that's American Teen, where it basically follows real American kids around and gets an insight into their lives. We also, or rather I also picked up Double Jeopardy. This is a film with Tommy Lee Jones and Ashley Judd. It's sort of the same ilk of The Fugitive and US Marshals and The Hunted sort of thing. Double Jeopardy I haven't seen since it came out, so I was quite excited to see that again. Also picked up Changing Lanes, which I've already rewatched, and I think this actually sort of gets overlooked. It's quite a good thriller. It's basically about a lawyer played by Ben Affleck and just sort of an ordinary guy, Samuel Jackson, have a car accident, and then because of the case that Ben Affleck is working on, they enter a game of cat and mouse. He accidentally leaves documents in Sam Jackson's possession and needs them back, otherwise he may lose his job and go to jail. So they start sort of threatening each other. It's I find a very interesting film. It's a product of its time. I mean, I think this was the early 2000s. It was around the time of September the 11th, and I know that the film was edited around September the 11th, and when it came out theatrically, they'd digitally removed the Trade Centre from the cityscape and then put it back in for the DVD. And it's just it's very much a sort of product of its time back then. But I really enjoyed it, so that's Changing Lanes. Picked up a couple of Steve Martin movies. These are both Laura's as well. Picked up Roxanne, which I'm ashamed to say I've never seen, but I'm looking forward to watching that. And picked up Bowfinger, which was a lot better than I was expecting. I really enjoyed Bowfinger. It's basically a film about a movie producer played by Steve Martin who wants to make a movie with a Hollywood superstar played by Eddie Murphy. So they essentially shoot the movie around him. Eddie Murphy doesn't know he's in it. They'll have actors turn up, approach Eddie Murphy and say their lines, and he's just like, you know, what's going on? I thought it was a great little caper film. It's directed by Frank Oz, so it's got that very distinctive sort of Frank Oz flavour to it. I mean, he loves sort of con men movies, and I really enjoyed Bowfinger, so I thought it was great. Also picked up Don't Say a Word. Now, I don't know if I've seen this. I may have seen this when it came out, but I can't quite remember. The Notorious Betty Page, which is by the director of American Psycho. Haven't watched this yet, but very much looking forward to it. And also the remake of Silent House, which I wanted to see when it came out at the cinema, but never got around to going. So I've yet to watch this, but we picked that up as well. So moving on to the Blu-rays that we've picked up, there's another couple in here that are from That's Entertainment and were quite cheap. I think the first three of these were less than £4 or something like that. So Laura picked up these three. Some Guy Who Kills People, which we haven't watched yet, but is essentially like a black comedy, I believe, about a serial killer. Alice in Wonderland in a sort of limited edition packaging. Now, Laura's seen this and quite likes it. I've never actually seen this. I've gone off sort of latter Tim Burton, but yeah, we picked that up and it was dirt cheap. And Laura also picked up the Chris Morris movie, Four Lions. Now, she's having to sort of convince me to watch this because I do sometimes, I'm not a prude or anything like that, but given the subject matter, it's a comedy about suicide bombers. You know, I'm a little bit sort of trepidatious as to how good it's going to be because of the sort of touchy subject matter, but that's Four Lions. I bought for Laura Frankenweenie, which, as I mentioned just then, you know, I've not been a fan of Tim Burton recently, but Frankenweenie is a great, great movie. It's a stop-motion, black and white stop-motion remake of a short film he did back in the 80s, I believe, about a kid whose dog is killed and he brings it back to life. It basically homages all the old sort of Universal horror movies like, you know, Dracula and Frankenstein, obviously, and stuff like that. A great animated movie. I would say it worked for kids. It's very heartfelt, and it has that sort of Americana white picket fence feel to it that Tim Burton's early work used to have. So I do think it'll work for kids, and it'll work for adults who love movies. Fans of movies will love Frankenweenie, so that was a great film. Also, in the similar ilk, I picked up Paranorman, which is by the studio who did, I think they're called Leica, but they did Coraline, which I absolutely love. Now, this isn't as good as Coraline, and it does also reference a lot of sort of horror movies, but it references more horror movies from like the 80s, like the slasher franchises and stuff like that. Its references aren't as subtle as those in Frankenweenie, but again, a very enjoyable film. I picked up The Punisher, the Dolph Lundgren version from the 80s, which I actually do think is probably the best on-screen adaptation of The Punisher that we've had so far. So I really enjoyed The Punisher. Also picked up Chained, which is by Jennifer Lynch, David Lynch's daughter. A very strange film, and essentially almost like Michael, which is the movie I believe I reviewed quite a while ago now on YouTube, about a serial killer who keeps a kid captive and uses him and teaches him as a protege sort of thing. So it's quite an interesting film, not an easy watch, quite brutal, but for fans of the sort of serial killers subgenre, it was pretty good. And also The Last Stand, which I know people have been slagging off The Last Stand, saying, oh, you know, Arnie might be too old for this, because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's first film since he left politics. It's his first film in about 10 years, other than cameos in like The Expendables and stuff like that. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. The action is very sort of well done and kinetic. It's very sort of modern action-wise, but it has a very old-fashioned Western feel to it. It's the English language debut of Kim Ji-woon, who did like The Good, the Bad and the Weird and stuff like that. And it's definitely worth a watch. I would recommend The Last Stand. Laura actually bought me this as a present, and I really enjoyed it. We also picked up Sightseers, which is Ben Wheatley's latest film about a pair of serial killers who go caravanning around the British Isles. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's as good as Kill List, but it's a lot more sort of darkly comic. It's a funny film, but you almost feel bad for laughing, and again, it's brutally violent as well. But any film that can make you consider going to visit the Keswick Pencil Museum must be doing something right. Sightseers is really good. I would highly recommend it. I also picked up a box set, a TV box set actually, This Is England 86 and 88. Picked this up because I love This Is England the movie. I've seen a couple of episodes of 86 when it was aired on Channel 4 and didn't keep up with it. So I thought this box set was about £10 and I thought, well, I really do want to see the show, so I picked that up and we're going to work our way through that. Now that brings us to the steelbooks that I've picked up recently. Now there's only a few here. The first of which are a couple of Arrow steelbooks. There's the Zombie Flesh Eaters steelbook, which is one of my favourite zombie movies. It's Lucio Fulci's unofficial sequel / rip-off to George A. Romero's original Dawn of the Dead. Released in Italy and everywhere else, I think, as Zombie 2, released here as Zombie Flesh Eaters. I know it as Zombie 2. I've never seen it as Zombie Flesh Eaters, so I'm getting used to calling it Zombie Flesh Eaters. But there's the front cover. and the back. This is a 2-disc set, comes loaded with special features, booklets and everything. As you can see, Arrow have put together another really nice release. And the other Arrow film I've picked up is Blowout. As you can see there, Brian De Palma's film starring John Travolta. Probably one of my favourite De Palma films. I absolutely love Blowout. I do think Arrow put together the best steelbooks. You know, theirs always come loaded with special features, booklets, posters, everything you could possibly want. And looking, you know, you compare them to a site like Zavvi, which release limited edition steelbooks, but they're always like one disc or bare bones, and they're not necessarily going to be the most up-to-date version of that film on Blu-ray. And I do think, you know, with stuff like steelbooks, yeah, the packaging's really nice, but it's the content that matters more than anything. And that brings me to my next two, which I picked up. Now, I upgraded RoboCop into a steelbook form because it's one of my favourite movies, and I did really like the packaging. There you go. Now, this comes with 2 discs. It comes with a Blu-ray copy and a DVD copy of RoboCop. Now, what made me a little bit disappointed with this release, and the same applies to the next movie, is that I expected new limited editions of the movies. I thought, oh, you know, we might get extra content, but you don't. You just get the normal DVD and Blu-ray inside there. So that was a little bit disappointing. I didn't know that before I picked these up. Had I known that, I might not have, but I'm still happy with it. I mean, the steelbook's really nice, and it's one of my favourite movies, as I've said. The next one was Predator 2, which I didn't already have on Blu-ray, so I don't mind that you didn't get extra Blu-ray content because I didn't have this on Blu-ray to begin with, but there's Predator 2. Again, one of my favourite, it's in my top 100 movies list that I've put together. I love Predator 2, and I would actually argue that Predator 2 is a better movie than Predator, which makes me very unpopular, but I think that's another discussion for another day. And finally, I picked up the last steelbook here is Django Unchained. This is the limited edition steelbook. I really enjoyed this movie. It's not perfect. I haven't actually reviewed this for YouTube, but I may very well do so in the near future. Django Unchained, I really enjoyed. I thought Quentin Tarantino's clearly sort of on a roll at the moment. I enjoyed the movie from beginning to end, so I thought to pick that up to see it again. And that is the last movie in this update, so thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what I've been picking up over the last few months. Please rate, comment and subscribe to this video and channel. I do really appreciate everything that you guys do. I do really appreciate it. Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.